Hello SPL fans, my name is Shroomraver, your head analyst for this season of the SPL D-League. Yes indeed, the Shuckle Premier League, the brainchild of Pokémon and Shuckle King, are having this D-League right at the end of the Scarlet Violet metagame before the transition into Pokemon Champions. It is very exciting stuff. Now, if you want to get a better rundown of exactly how the season is working, I'd suggest heading over to Shuckle King's channel and checking out the draft analysis livestream that was done. Myself, Shuckle King, and some of our other analysts were involved in that. And at the beginning of that, SK will be able to take you through all of the rules and how this season is working. But suffice to say, we have 12 teams run technically by 13 wonderful coaches, grouped together into four groups of three, under the watchful eye of a head honcho who will be helping them all out in their battle for the championship. All of the links to all of the coaches will be down in the description below. Make sure you check them out, along with the links to our head honchos and, of course, the wonderful analysis team. Myself, I am here as your host of Heat of the Week. We also have my buddy Eli. He is going to be doing sort of game rundowns towards the start of the week. We also have Val, who is doing a look ahead to the weekend matches and all the transfer news that you will need before the battle uploads themselves. So we've got a lot of wonderful analysis content coming your way, as well, of course, as the battles themselves. And I believe SK will be doing his watch-alongs towards the weekend or into the start of the new week. So we've got a lot of SPL D-League content coming your way, but we are here for Heat of the Week. Very exciting stuff. We always love to see what kind of heat our coaches are going to be bringing to the table, and this is week one. Now, how am I going to be going about this? Because it's just me here doing the Heat of the Week. I'm going to be going through some of these sets that I found to be really interesting and unexpected, and I'm judging these based on sort of two main categories. How unexpected and audacious are they, and did they work? Because sometimes it's the thought that counts. Sometimes the sets don't work, but they're there, and that's the most important thing. Now, week one, we don't always see a massive amount of heat. The coaches still getting used to their team and really focusing on getting that week one win over bringing crazy stuff. But we did see a fair amount of interesting sets being brought to the table. So without further ado, let's get into some honourable mentions before we break into the top three. So starting off, we had a couple of interesting Iron Press sets. Now, Iron Defense Body Press is not exactly an unexpected set to be bringing on the likes of, for example, the Slowbro we saw from Kirby's Toronto Rap Scores up against Shiro and Kaz's Los Angeles Flame Charge. The set didn't quite come off, but it's a set that you sometimes see on Slowbro. Much less often is it seen on Sandy Shocks, which Nova's Bermuda Kecleons were able to bring to bear against A12's Arkham City Delibirds. Nova learning from his previous experiences with it, and Nova, I'm not sorry for bringing it up. I'm going to keep doing it. The people deserve to know what you went through. But Nova was able to learn from those experiences, bringing his latest Iron Press Sandy Shocks to do really well into A12's team and pick up the eventual win. Next up, we had a few lead counter sets. Again, not the most out there of things. We saw one on Dapper's Deoxys-S on his Appalachia Appletons, up against TJ's Slow Bohemians, looking for the counter lead into Scarf Meowscarada against that Deoxys-S. Well scouted by TJ in the end, not able to come to anything. Lax and the Showdown Shoguns had more luck with a lead counter Ogerpon Cornerstone. A bit unexpected perhaps, into Diet Type's Minnesota Lycanwolves with their dearth of water types that we might expect a more regular Ogerpon Cornerstone to come into, but able to get good value taking out Diet Type's Blastoise on the U-turn from Landorus-T. So, a well-crafted set there, getting some results. And the final honourable mention is going to go to some manual weather. We love to see it. Diet Type is mentioned again here with his Minnesota Lycanwolves. His Scale Shot Basculegion may have grabbed all the headlines, but Scarfed Raindance Landorus-T as a backup plan was a really interesting bring. Unfortunately, didn't get to click it, but we did see the Sunny Day Hitmon top from Standard's Kansas City Curum into D-Ray San Diego Spirits, afraid of that chilly reception Glowking. Now it may have been AV, but we did see that Sunny Day boosting up Raging Bolt to guarantee a KO into the Mandibuzz on the other side. And now let's get into our top 3. And in at third, it's another mention for TJ and the Slow Bohemians up against Dapper's Appalachia Appletons. Now, Mirror Herb is an item that we're seeing a little more of now as a general counteraction to the likes of Shell Smash Sweepers or any kind of setup that you might see coming. And it's often seen on a lot of these more offensive speedy threats, not quite so often seen on Alomomola. A really cool bring here from TJ, Mirror Herb Alomomola, not only that, but with acrobatics to take the most advantage of it. Now, this was mainly brought for a Belly Drum Azumarill or Swords Dance on the likes of Ogerpon and Hawlucha, hence that really nice acrobatics. Now, unfortunately for TJ, the Azumarill was banded and could quite easily two-shot the Alomomola, and I don't believe we saw Ogerpon or Hawlucha. If they came, they certainly didn't Swords Dance in front of the Aloe, but it was a really interesting bring, and we all wanted to see it work. TJ uploads his team builders the night before his battle goes live, and I personally was very excited to try and see that acrobatics Mirror Herb pop off for Alomomola. Unfortunately, not able to this time, but like I said as we started, sometimes it's the thought that counts, and this was a really enjoyable bring that held a lot of potential. Shame we didn't get to see it happen, but it was a great game nonetheless. In at number 2, and we have another fun item usage here from Talon and the Atlanta Talonflames up against Dashing's Seattle Sigilyphs, and that is Metronome Iron Boulder. Yeah, Metronome, not an item you see used all that often, certainly not in Draft League. Iron Boulder with the sub Swords Dance is a threatening set in and of itself, but Talon wanting to use that Metronome to just keep spiraling the Earthquake and Mighty Cleave out of control. Now, while the Metronome didn't quite pop off, Iron Boulder certainly did, claiming 4 KOs, but it does have to be said, one of those was a huge crit into Dashing's Rotom Wash, which really set him back. Not enough can be said about how big that crit was, because Dashing had a plan to get around it, and it was very well thought out. Unfortunately, that crit coming in on Rotom really sealed the deal, and while the Metronome didn't mean that Iron Boulder spiraled, it really didn't have to, because with a few chances to set up a Swords Dance behind a substitute, it went crazy, getting 4 KOs in the game and paving the way for Dashing's unfortunate loss to those Atlanta Talonflames. A really fun bring, and hopefully we can see the likes of Metronome pop off in the future for Talon or maybe another team. This is the kind of thing where people can get ideas, and maybe Metronome is one for the future. But coming in at number 1 and my winner of Heat of the Week for Week 1 of the SPL D-League, and that is going to go to A12 and the Arkham City Delibirds. We've already mentioned his game against Nova's Bermuda Kecleons. Now, while A12 wasn't quite able to take the dub, he did bring something quite interesting, and this takes number 1 spot for a couple of reasons. 1, because it certainly worked, and 2, because it was just audacious as heck to come into week 1 of the season with Sing Chansey. A crazy bring. No one wants to run Sing, it's 55% accurate. When are you ever going to hit? Well, not usually, unless your name's A12 and you click it 5 times and you land 3 of them, which was insane. Like, it was up against that Sandy Shocks that we mentioned earlier, which was one of the few things really good into A12's defensive core, disgusting though it is, of Toxapex and Chansey. But Piano Man the Chansey was able to land a few of those Sings and really delay what Sandy Shocks could do, try and get that chip damage. Hit the first one, hit the last 2, unfortunately for A12, the timing just off on that second and third Sing, the 2 that really he kind of needed to hit to bring himself back into the mid game. Put up a good fight at the end, landing those Sings, delaying what the Sandy Shocks was able to do. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to take the win in the game, but Sing Chansey, for its effectiveness in that battle, is certainly enough to take number 1 spot in Heat of the Week for Week 1. Well, that is going to conclude Heat of the Week for this week. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Did you agree? Are there any sets that I missed out on? Remember, this is just one man's opinion. So if you disagree, please do feel free to tell me. I love hearing about everyone's thoughts on this kind of thing. Looking forward to seeing more Heat coming up as the season progresses. Like I say, week 1, sometimes coaches just want to get used to their team and focus on getting that all-important week 1 win rather than bringing those really out there, out-of-the-box sets. But I'm sure with the creativity we have on tap with this roster, we're going to see a heck of a lot of interesting stuff coming up in future weeks. This is going to be a weekly series. Like I say, earlier in the week, we're going to have Eli with the blow-by-blows of the games that have happened over the weekend. And coming towards the end of the week, we're going to have Val uploading a look ahead and transfer news. This is going to be our midweek series of the Heat things that were brought over the course of the battles. But that is going to wrap things up from me. Thank you all so much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed. Keep your eyes out on all of our coaches and our analyst work. Like I say, every link is going to be down in that description. Make sure you check out as many as you can if you're excited for the remainder of this season. But like I say, I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on for far too long. So, my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I will see you next time. Laters.